Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderfall Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk about the Warcry article that's just dropped on Games Workshop last night, and we got a ton of rules revealed about the brand new spider guys, the Tarantulos brood. And so we're going to go through these. We're going to talk about, well, what we can expect and what this sort of gives us in a Warcry game. And in general, just sort of what we're all getting from this article. Hopefully there'll be one dropping on the new Dark Oath guys as well. Guys and gals, because there are definitely a good mix of miniatures in that box set. But for starters, let's get cracking on into this, talking about the Tarantulos brood. So of course, they're coming out as part of the new Red Harvest box set, which is on pre-order next week. That came out real quick, which is awesome. So it gives us a little bit of info here. The Tarantulos brood worship Chaos as a bloated 8-limbed spider, just as the Splintered Fang prostrate themselves before the Great Servant, and the Corvus Cabal venerate and steal in the name of the Avian Gatherer. So they've got, you know, sort of this spider-like god. I really do like how the narrative of all these warbands and how they view Chaos in all these different ways. It's really cool. And so, just like the other bestial bands, in combat the Tarantulos brood exemplify the aspect of Chaos they worship. They're commanded by a ferocious broodmaster whose spidery blessings make them more than a match for the most formidable fighters who walk the path to glory. And so, here we get a look. 180 points, 18 wounds. He is pretty solid for a Warcry warband leader. He's lacking a couple of wounds normally off like the Heart Eater and stuff like that. So he's a little bit less, but a ton of attacks coming out of this dude. 6 is ridiculously large amount of attacks, and he's got a couple of good rune marks there. So it'd be interesting to sort of check down on the chart on what he can do. But like strength 4, toughness 4, 6 attacks, move 6 is nice as well. 2-4 for his damage. Like, he's going to put out a serious amount of damage for his work. He's a little bit less tough with 18 wounds, like I said, rather than like 20 for a couple of the other warbands leaders and some of them, but he's going to put out like a decent amount of damage. I really do think he's a solid leader. So not only can he pump out an overwhelming number of attacks with his extra limbs, but like many fighters in the brood, he can also use a double to activate Skittering Ascent. So we get to see the double here. Until the end of this fighter's activation, you do not count vertical distance moved when this fighter is climbing, which is pretty cool. This can be really powerful, especially with like some of that new terrain that's coming out. The fact that he's not going to have to move up, he sort of, you know, takes in effect the rules we already have for like Spider-Fang Grots and stuff like that, where they can move forward in Age of Sigmar without, you know, taking into account vertical terrain. They count as having fly for that purpose. He essentially does. Now, this is obviously the rune marks he's going to require here to use it. And so he's got both of them there, and you can see we've got the... so we've got these. This is the little sun, little 8-pointed star of Chaos is obviously the Tarantulos brood's rune mark. He's got this other one here, which is what he needs to be able to use this. So really nice. Warbands fighting alongside critters is nothing new in the Warcry, but the spider swarms accompanying the Tarantulos brood are something else. Tuned into the psychic gestalt that links the brood, they act in unison with the bipedal allies swarming and overwhelming their foes. So of course we saw the little spider broods we're going to get alongside this, which is pretty cool. We've had the snakes in the Fang, and we've also obviously got the Rocktusk Prowler as like part of the Untamed Beasts as main ones. So we've got Scuttling Symbiosis. You pick one friendly spider swarm within 6 inches of this fighter or within 9 inches of this fighter if the value of this ability is 4 or greater. The spider swarm can make a bonus attack action. Pretty cool. Sort of like a cheaper Inspiring Presence, because Inspiring Presence being the triple to activate on a nearby fighter completely straight after one of yours goes. This is pretty cool that it can be used. We're looking at the rune marks. He's got it here. So it has to be one of the, like, someone with this rune mark here, which is not the leader rune mark. So we're assuming maybe some other guys will get it in the warband, which is pretty cool. And then while the spider swarms are relatively weak, they do move fast, can come with handy 8 attacks, and can be summoned back by the broodmaster after being taken out. So some really cool abilities. Like 8 attacks is solid. That means you got a decent, you know, you're rolling a crit every turn. On average is what that says. And then being able to be brought back is pretty cool. These are really sweet spider models here as well. I absolutely hate spiders, but miniatures, not too bad, as long as they don't sneak up on me in the night. If you've rolled a quad, you'll be looking to spend it on one of your swarms. The terrifying gifts of the Eightfold Watcher ability gives your spidery powers a chance to incapacitate a foe, potentially deal a whopping 10 damage. So our quad is actually for the spider broods, which is interesting. Like, none of the other ones have quads that sort of do it. Pounce, I think, for the Untamed Beast is a triple, and I can't remember what the snake one is for the Splintered Fang. I don't play them as much. Quads gifted the Eightfold Watcher. This fighter makes a bonus attack action. After that attack action, roll a number of dice equal to the value of its ability. If you rolled any 6s, the fighter targeted by the attack action cannot make any move actions or disengage actions until the end of the battle round. In addition, if you roll 3 or more 6s, allocate 10 damage points. So the 10 damage is unlikely. You roll a number of dice equal to the value of the ability. I mean, even if you get 6s, you've got to roll 3 6s on 6 dice is really hard. You're, unlikely to even roll that 6, but if you can get a quad 6 in, it could be a really solid ability to really sort of switch the way the battle is going. Like if you can get this into an enemy unit that's causing you a bit of trouble. Something like a Hard Eater or, the Rockdust Prowler from Untamed Beasts, even that Shroud Queen from the K-Knight Shadowstalkers are any of the big hitters from any of the warbands, really. And while you're corralling large spiders and the small crux of the warband's fighting style, the individual warriors are deadly in their own right. Doomweavers use biting weapons to inflict maximum hurt upon their foes. Lesser Brewkin make up for a relative lack of strength with the ability to deliver a savage flurry of blows, and when they land a critical strike, their keening weapons will cleave through flesh and blown with equal ease. So we've got sort of like a generic guy here. So what's really cool about this is we've got 2 attack profiles on him, which is nice. But I really like their high crit value. They don't necessarily have a lot of attacks or very good strength or anything like that, but their crit values are huge. So it's all about trying to get those extra attacks. Things like Onslaught and stuff are going to be amazing in this warband, where they're trying to just get that heavy crit damage. Move 5 is nice. Toughness 3 is really low. Strength of 3 on their scythe. Strength of 4 is not bad, but like I said, 2 attacks each. They're not going to be getting many. You're really aiming to get those crits. You want to be pumping up as many attacks as possible using things like Onslaught and Rampage and all that sort of stuff. And finally, suppose you've got an excellent triple roll available. In that case, you can use your ranged fighters to range your opponents and with an Envenom Projectile. So Envenom Projectile, pick a visible enemy fighter within 6 inches of this fighter and roll 2 dice for each 4 to 5. Allocate a number of damage points equal to half the value of the ability. Rounding up, for each 6, allocate a number of damage points equal to the fighter, equal to the value of the ability. So pretty cool. This is pretty similar to like the K-Knight Shadowstalkers and their Shadow Darts. There's just on a 4 up does 2. So you've got the ability to do less, I guess, with this. If you only get like 1 on your triple, but a really high triple here, once again, can really make this ability work quite well for you. Put all this together, along with the ability of certain fighters to trap enemies in adhesive webbing, you've got a mobile, hard-hitting warband with lots of tricks up their spider silk sleeves. Yeah, so I like the idea, adhesive webbing, so we've got some of the dudes that have webbing that we can sort of use, which is pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see how that works, but I really do think these guys, they're going to hit like trucks, but they're going to be so frail. So it's going to be very similar to like K-Knight Shadowstalkers, maybe not quite as tricksy. It's pretty much sort of buff them up, send them in, and roll well is pretty much what I'm seeing from this warband. They've got some other tricks you can use, like the Spider Venom to try and knock someone out, or this, apparently the adhesive webbing you can use as well. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be soup someone up, send him in and kill something, and try and isolate your opponent to do this, so you're not, sending someone in, you kill your opponent and then you die in return. The Broodmaster looks really strong. He's got a great crit value. He's got a lot of attacks. Does maybe lack a little bit of defensive ability compared to some of the other fighters, so you need to be careful when you're using him. I'll be really interested to get these guys on the table. They look really cool. Some of the models, like this guy on the left here, looks just amazing, and I'll be really excited to see how they can work. But what do you think of the new warband here? What do you think of all these rules in Warcry? Are you interested in them or not? Let us know in the comments below. And so that's the end of the video. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Cinderfall Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so by either Patreon or YouTube members, or going and purchasing some merch from Teespring, on which you'll find all the links for Patreon, YouTube members and Teespring in the description of the video as well. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to all our patrons and YouTube members who help support the channel. It's amazing what you do, and it really helps us get more and more stuff out for the channel. So thank you to our patrons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Dynet226, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, and Average Wargamer. And a special shout out to our YouTube members as well: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turo12, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, and Revan R. Lastly, a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art for doing all the amazing artwork for the channel you can see here, and to Xmorphic as well for doing an amazing job doing all the background work on our Discord server. Thank you to everyone once again for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, comment below. Thank you all. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.